Welcome to another edition of the Houston Roundball Review Takeover of the Lunch Break, powered by JM&E. I am, of course, Kris Gardner, owner of the Houston Roundball Review. Welcome to this edition of the show. It is September 25th as you're watching it. I'm recording the show September 24th. It's going to be an info-filled, action-packed show. Got some clips from the Houston Cougars men's basketball first practice, official practice of the fall for the 25-26 season. Some comments from Emanuel Sharp and head coach Kelvin Sampson. Play those momentarily. Then, of course, some football talk, American, Big 12, and the SWAC. Some Rockets news. And it's not good news, Rocket fans, as we all know that point guard, veteran, team leader, Fred VanVleet tore his ACL recently with the team in the Bahamas, part of their get-together, basketball retreat practices, things of that sort, annual event, different locations. Fred's going to be out for the year, most likely. So what does that mean for the Rockets? What should the Rockets do? Have some comments from the Athletics' John Hollinger, an article he wrote about the Rockets and Fred VanVleet. I may have a Let's Talk Houston Rockets show on Saturday evening, hopefully. I don't know. I'm getting kind of worn down with everything taking place here with work and adjusting to the hours and all of those things. It's taking a toll on me physically and mentally. I've got a break coming up in 2 weeks, though. So looking forward to that. But this edition of the Takeover, let's get into it. I'm going to do this right now. You're watching on the Houston Roundball Review YouTube channel, or you're watching on Roku, courtesy of the BS3 Network. If you have Roku and you don't have BS3, download it. Get the app so you can watch shows like this one and other Houston Roundball Review shows as well here on the BS3 Network, the BS3 platform. A lot of content, a lot of great shows, a lot of different variety of shows. You'll see a promo of those shows later on toward the bottom of the hour of today's show. And I want to let you know, if you haven't downloaded the app, can't download the app, or you don't have Roku, you can go to bs3network.com or bs3tvlive.com and watch all the great content that way. I'm going to say this now. I'm going to acknowledge the members, the companies, the people who have supported and are supporting and are members of the Houston Roundball Review online business directory. Salute to them. The African Center of Wellbeing, Bayou Beat, Be Elite Basketball, Byron Riley CPA, the Pinto Leon Law Firm, Pruitt's in the Heights, Star Pizza, Tejas Brewery, United Sports and Entertainment, VIP Realty, and the Saxenian family. That list has not grown, much to my disappointment, in months, but I'll share you some content, different ways to support the Houston Roundball Review, keep it going. But let's get into it. A lot of info to share on today's show. Hope you enjoy it. I think you will. First things first, salute to the Rice Owls and Rice Athletics. Say what? Rice University named host institution for 2026 NCAA men's basketball regional at Toyota Center. Tuesday, the Harris County Houston Sports Authority, the University of Houston, and Rice University announced an update regarding the 2026 NCAA men's basketball regional set to take place at Toyota Center. In accordance with NCAA rules governing host institutions, the University of Houston will not serve as the official host institution to avoid potential impacts on tournament bracket placement. In a nutshell, when Houston was listed as the official host institution, as in University of Houston, that meant that the Houston Cougars men's basketball team could not be placed in this particular region, this bracket. That was a fail on the administration, not understanding that when this bid was submitted a few years ago. It's been cleaned up now, and it was made official on Tuesday. It was announced by current AD, Eddie Nunez, a few weeks ago, and I touched on it on an episode of the Takeover. Eddie Nunez, he responded to let me know that it was done, that it was a done deal, hours, like minutes after the Takeover was done. So I had to do it, share the news, different platforms on social media to let everyone know. But now that it is official as of Tuesday, and NCAA.com, the website, if you go to it, you'll see that Rice University is listed now as the official host institution for the Houston Regional. Rice will now assume the host role in partnership with HCHSA, the Harris County Houston Sports Authority, ensuring a first-class experience for student athletes, student assets, fans, and visiting universities. While the University of Houston will not serve in an official capacity, UH, Rice, and HCHSA remain united in their commitment to showcasing Houston as a premier destination for NCAA championship events. Quote from Tommy McClellan, the Rice Athletics AD and VP of Athletics. We are thrilled to partner with the Harris County Houston Sports Authority to host the 2026 NCAA Men's Basketball Regional. Rice is deeply grateful for the Houston community's support. This is a remarkable opportunity to showcase our city's passion for basketball and to demonstrate our commitment to being outstanding community partners, ensuring this event highlights the best of the city of Houston, end quote. Let me sum all that up for you. Houston Regional, that means the round of the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8. The Houston Cougars men's basketball team could be playing those two games, if they win the Sweet 16, at Toyota Center in H-Town. Of course, they have to do their part throughout this regular season, win enough games to earn a berth in the Houston region. That is not a guarantee. It's not a certainty. They could wrap it up as a certainty if they're the number one overall seed. And then as the number one overall seed, they will get their choice of where they want to be placed, in which region. And obviously, they pick the Houston region because the games are played at Toyota Center. If anyone's wondering, this isn't fair, it's not fair, pump your brakes. The Cougs do not play more than 3 games at Toyota Center in the regular season. They play their home games at Fertitta Center. They do have 1 game, neutral site, at Toyota Center. This season will be December 6th, Saturday, against Florida State, but that's just 1 game, part of the regular season for the Cougs that is played at Toyota Center. So they meet all the requirements, no special treatment, nothing like that, bent over backwards. It wasn't anything wink deals with the NCAA and Tillman, none of that. Purdue was placed in the Indianapolis region last year, and the Cougs beat them. Tennessee, shorter distance for their fans to travel from Tennessee to Indianapolis than Houston fans to go from Houston to Indianapolis. Cougs beat them. The Cougs being in the Houston Regional does not guarantee they're going to win the games. Just because they got home court, home crowd advantage. You still have to play and beat the opponent on the court. Houston Hoops Cougars news, info, and I am just so happy to say this and read this. Houston Cougars men's basketball announces Big 12 schedule. because news means that we're getting closer and closer to basketball season. Football is nice and it makes the world go round, especially America. And I could not care. I couldn't care less. Football could disappear. Be fine with me. I couldn't care less. Whatever. Hoops, hoops, hoops. The Houston Cougars men's basketball program unveiled its Big 12 conference schedule. Head coach Kelvin Sampson announced Tuesday afternoon. Finalized details on times and television designations will be announced at a later date. The Cougs will play 18 conference matchups, down from 20 last year, with 9 inside Fertitta Center and 9 on the road. A year ago, Houston joined Duke as the only schools in NCAA Division I history to post 19-1 conference records during a 20-game slate. Houston also became the first team in NCAA Division I history to enjoy a 10-0 conference road record in a single season. The Cougs will meet, foreshadowing hopefully, will meet Baylor, Cincinnati, and Texas Tech in home and away series while facing Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, Kansas State, UCF, and West Virginia inside the Fertitta Center only. The Cougars travel to meet BYU, Iowa State, Kansas, Oklahoma State, TCU, and Utah in single games. Here is the conference schedule for UH Cougars men's basketball. Starting January 3rd at Cincinnati. January 6th, home against Texas Tech. January 10th at Baylor. January 13th, hosting West Virginia. January 18th, hosting Arizona State. January 24th, in Lubbock at Texas Tech. So the 2 matchups against Texas Tech are in January. Not a fan of that, but anyway. January 28th at TCU. January 31st, home against Cincinnati. February 4th, hosting UCF. Saturday, February 7th, in Provo, right? Provo? At BYU. February 10th, at Utah. February 14th, home against Kansas State. And check out these next 3 games. February 16th, Monday, Big Monday on ESPN, at Iowa State. Then February 21st, home against Arizona. Then February 23rd, at Kansas in Allen Fieldhouse. So Iowa State, Arizona, at Kansas. Of the Big 12. Next, February 28th, home against Colorado. February 4th, last home game of the regular season. Senior night, Wednesday, March 4th against Baylor. Then wrapping up Big 12 conference play in the regular season, March 7th at Oklahoma State. On Monday, the Big 12 and the Houston Cougars women's basketball team announced the league schedules for women's hoops in the conference. And of course, fans and members of the Houston Roundball Review YouTube membership section knew Saturday that these announcements were going to take place on Monday and Tuesday. It's one of the perks of being a Houston Roundball Review YouTube member. That's what that QR code is you see on the screen that you can scan right now and become a member. Houston's 18-game conference slate features meetings with Texas Tech, Kansas State, and TCU twice. Coog's got to face Kansas State and TCU twice. Women's side, boy. While hosting Iowa State, BYU, Utah, Cincinnati, Colorado, and UCF at the Fertitta Center. The Cougs will take on West Virginia, Oklahoma State, Baylor just one time. I hate that. Kansas, Arizona State, and Arizona on the road. opponents were selected to best balance the schedule in terms of travel and competitiveness. Houston, Baylor, Houston, Waco. Just be playing twice. Whatever. Game times and broadcasting networks will be announced in the near future. And I am still waiting. I am curious to see how many Big 12 women's basketball games will be on linear TV. Big 12 commissioner, let me put myself on the big screen. Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark said at the football media day that he and the Big 12 are doubling down on women's basketball. And the objective is to get more Big 12 women's games on linear TV. All right, I'm waiting to see if that comes to fruition. Back at it. Here is the schedule, the Cougs Big 12 schedule of women's hoops. December 21st at West Virginia. New Year's Eve, hosting Iowa State. Start going to 2026 with 2 conference losses. What? January 3rd at Oklahoma State. January 7th, home against Kansas State. Woo. January 10th, hosting BYU. January 13th, heading to Lubbock to face Texas Tech. January 17th, hosting Utah. January 21st, in Manhattan at Kansas State. January 25th, Sunday in Waco at Baylor. February 1st, Sunday hosting Cincinnati. February 4th at TCU. February 7th, hosting Texas Tech. February 11th, hosting Colorado. February 14th, Valentine's Day, or as I like to say, 4 weeks before my birthday, at Kansas. February 18th, hosting TCU. February 21st, at Arizona State. February 24th, at Arizona. And then the last game for Houston head coach Matthew Mitchell and his Cougs in the regular season, March 1st, Senior Day, hosting UCF. The Big 12 women's tournament will start on March 4th. The championship game will be either March 8th or March 9th. Sunday, March 8th, if BYU does not reach the title game. If BYU does reach the title game, the championship will be on Monday, March 9th. The Big 12 men's tournament starts on Tuesday, March 10th, and the championship game will be Saturday, March 14th. My birthday. Like I said, February 14th is just, to me, it's just 4 weeks until my birthday. That's what it means to me. As I said earlier, September 24th, first day of practice for the Houston Cougars men's basketball team. We had a chance to catch the end of practice. And let me say this as you comment. Feel free to comment as you're watching on Houston Roundball Review's YouTube channel. The part the media sees, we don't get to see 5-on-5, no plays, nothing, no sets, anything like that. What we see is free throw shooting, some drills, 3-point shooting, some basic fundamentals. If that. And that's in the background as we ask to speak to Coach Sampson and selected players. Before I left to prepare for today, the takeover, got some comments from Coach Sampson and senior leader Emanuel Sharp. Going to play the clips, and both are answers to my questions. So Emanuel Sharp's answer is to my question about, has it really hit him when he's speaking to his freshman teammates on this year's team, as he look back and reflect on the veterans who spoke to him when he was a freshman. listen, watch E-Man's answer.
Yeah, I was literally just over there talking to Bryce. I was like, there's no point in getting worked up. Like we all went through it. He's talking about he hates messing up, but I get it. I messed up. I had it worse than he did. When I was a freshman, my freshman year, I was running for every mess up. So, I just try to stay in their ear as much as possible. Because I had people like that in my ear. Maul, Art, T-Mark, all those guys. So, I just try to be that same voice for them.
And of course, Maul is Jamal Shed. T-Mark is Tremont Mark, and other guys. It's part of successful programs. Programs that have sustained success really are player-led programs. The coaches establish the foundation, the expectations, and then the players, year in, year out, consistently lead themselves. They hold each other accountable. The veterans do it for the youngsters. And then when the freshmen become sophomores become upperclassmen, they've learned what it means to be a Coog, part of the Coog culture. They learn what it means to be a leader. They become more comfortable being vocal leaders. Emanuel Sharp, when he was a redshirt freshman, when he was a freshman and then a redshirt freshman, he was nowhere near as comfortable speaking to the media, let alone teammates, like he is now. So it's all part of the maturation process for hopefully most of us as we get older, and you learn how to become more comfortable in your skin and when to speak up, how to lead, how to be that team, that vocal leader. That this is all part of a successful program. Now, the next comments you'll hear from Coach Sampson. I asked Coach Sampson to share his thoughts on what veteran, graduate forward Ramon Walker provides this year's team specifically, and also happy to say, reminding you, letting you know in case you forgot, or if you don't know, Ramon Walker is a winner of the Guy V. Lewis Award, which goes to the top boys high school player in the greater Houston area. He won that award when he was a senior at Shadow Creek High School. And as I always, not always, but many times when I see him and talk to him, I ask him, where is his Guy V. Lewis Award medallion? And he says, it's right there in my drawer, top of my desk. I look at it and I see it is right there. I know where it is at all times. So that, as a member of the committee, I'm always happy to hear him say that. But now back to comments from head coach Kelvin Sampson on the value and leadership that Ramon Walker provides this team. Coach, just your thoughts on what Ramon Walker provides this team.
Yeah, very valuable. He may Ramon's going to be easy to transfer. There's a bunch of schools trying to get him. He came and sat down and talked to me, and I don't ever want to take a young man's opportunity somewhere else. But I know that Ramon has established an identity here. I think there's a lot of our fans and supporters that love that young man for who he is. And, not every kid's going to go to the NBA, and that's okay. You don't have to do this for that. He's going to get his degree. Actually, he's already got his degree. And through the contacts he makes, the relationships he has, he may wind up getting a really good job his first, second, or third year after college. And if he's going to do that, then there was no reason for him to leave. So, when I talk to these kids, I always talk to them from a relationship standpoint. For most people, the freshmen are whatever they're rated. They see them as a number. Somebody just stick their chest out because we signed a kid who's rated this. That's not who they are to me. That's why I don't care about that. Ramon is, I don't even know what his number is, but that's not who he is to me. I want what's best for them, but I'll support them in whatever they decide to do. And Ramon's a big part of our identity. He and Emanuel there's nobody that represents our culture and the standards we have every day like those two guys on this team. Every team's different. Everything's got those guys. But I'd say Emanuel, JoJo too. JoJo has a lot of that, but that's why this program's been so good is we kind of know what we're recruiting to, and most of our kids fit our culture.
There you go. Comments from head coach Kelvin Sampson about the leadership and what Ramon Walker provides this year's team. Okay, Rocket fans, going to get into it. Well, I'm going to spare y'all because I'm going to go a little bit early, bottom of the hour. Share, discuss, play the promo, the BS3 promo. And then after the BS3 promo, we're going to discuss Fred VanVleet's ACL injury. And then close out today's show with some college football talk. I am KG Kris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review. You are watching the Houston Roundball Review takeover of the lunch break. Throwback Thursday. Takeover is powered by JM&E, and it is streaming on the Houston Roundball Review YouTube channel and also on Roku via the BS3 Network. And here is an idea of what BS3 TV, the BS3 Network, is all about. Be back in 90 seconds.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.
Welcome back to the Houston Roundball Review takeover of the lunch break on Throwback Thursday. The takeover is powered by JM&E. I am, of course, KG Kris Gardner, owner of the Houston Roundball Review, and you're watching the takeover on either the Houston Roundball Review YouTube channel or on Roku via the BS3 Network. First part of the show, talk some Coogs hoops. The Big 12 schedules are out for men's and women's basketball in the Big 12. The good news about the Rice Owls, Rice Athletics, being named officially the host institution for the 2026 NCAA Men's Regional, taking place at Toyota Center, which means the Cougs men's team can be placed in the Houston region if they deserve it. They may not have a good enough record, and they may be placed in another region. But it would be something as a goal for them to earn a spot in the Houston region, which means if they do win their first two games, round one, round two, they'd be playing the Sweet 16, win that one, and the Elite Eight at the Toyota Center in H-Town. All right, Rocket fans. This info is from The Athletic and The Athletic's John Hollinger specifically. Fred VanVleet injury hits Rockets in the worst spot, but is there a faint silver lining? Fred VanVleet's torn ACL matters so much because Houston's offseason had left it so overweight in big forwards and centers and paper thin in the backcourt, especially with Jalen Green gone in the Kevin Durant trade package. In particular, for a team with two all-star front-court players in Durant and Alperen Şengün, the decisions to give multi-year deals to Steven Adams and Dorian Finney-Smith and Clint Capella and Jabari Smith Jr. now seem like total overkill, especially because even the smalls they signed, Jae'Sean Tate and Josh Okogie, do their best masquerading as power forwards. Stop right there. I don't know why the Rockets brought back Jae'Sean Tate, signed Josh Okogie, and then brought back Uncle Jeff. But anyway, having 6 rotation caliber power forwards plus Jeff Green in reserve is a nice luxury, but not when you only have 14 total players and 3 of the other ones are full-time centers. Meanwhile, the most accomplished true guard on the roster is Aaron Holiday. And along with signing all those bigs, Houston left itself vulnerable in another way. A team already light on shooting is now desperately short in this area, even with Durant. The Rockets were 27th in three-point frequency and 21st in percentage a season ago, and more than half the makes came from VanVleet, Jalen Green, and Dillon Brooks. Sure, Durant can offset some of that, but who spaces the floor for Durant? VanVleet was supposed to be that guy. The other half of Houston's quandary is that filling VanVleet's rotation spot may be difficult. While the Rockets can claim a $12.5 million, half of VanVleet's salary, injured player exception, they cap themselves at the collective bargaining agreement's first apron threshold by signing Finney-Smith using their non-taxpayer mid-level exception and the fairly needless addition of Capella put them just $1.3 million from the first apron line of $195.9 million. If the Rockets get off to a bumpy start, it's possible they pivot the opposite way by attempting to shed $6.8 million, get below the tax line, and stave off a future year of repeater tax once they pay Amen Thompson and Tari Eason. Speaking of Amen Thompson, we also need to talk about the silver lining, if you will, to the injury. The Rockets get to test what they hope is true and badly want to be true. It's point guard Amen Thompson or bust now in Houston. And behind him, Reed Sheppard is either going to sink or swim. Realistically, it has to be Shep time now. And the 21-year-old should be the first guard off the bench. With Houston already looking at lowered expectations, Rockets fans, there is no reason to shunt the third pick in the 2024 draft to the nether regions of the bench again. He only played 652 minutes as a rookie despite being healthy nearly all season. Every other 2024 lottery pick played at least 1,000 minutes, except the injured Nikola Topic and Devin Carter and Rob Dillingham. Well, Rafael Stone said a few months ago now, Reed's going to have to play well for us this year. Yeah, that takes on a whole new level of importance now. Or should the Rockets go and make a trade? And if they should make a trade, if you want them to make a trade, who do you want them to get? And be realistic in the comments. I do read the comments. Don't come up with something like Anthony Edwards. Okay, be realistic. Okay, be logical. I know you're a Rocket fan, but think clearly. I know CBS sports writer, the number one person on his list of 10 was somebody, somebody with the Celtics. Like, really? Yeah. I mean, it's a list. Drew Holiday, Derek White was the guy I'm thinking of. Coog fans said Rockets should go get Jamal Shead from Toronto. Anthony Simons, CJ McCollum, different guys. But who do you think who do you want the Rockets to go get now that Fred VanVleet is most likely done for the season after tearing his ACL? Shifting gears now to football. And boy, I failed on most of this, but I'll do it as the rest of the show, the final moments of today's show. I forgot to display the banners. But that's okay. Starting now, Big 12 football. Football schedule, week 5. This Friday, TCU at Arizona State on Fox, 8 o'clock Central. But we all care about, Coug fans care about, Houston at Oregon State on ESPN, 9:30 p.m. Yes, in case you're wondering, Let's Rage Cougs will have a post-game show after the Houston at Oregon State game ends. Yes, 12:30 a.m., 1 o'clock a.m., whatever, we will be raging with a Let's Rage Cougs post-game show after the Cougs win and improve to 4-0. And while we're doing that show, we'll spend a few minutes looking ahead to the October 4th matchup when the Cougs host Texas Tech on ESPN on Saturday night, October 4th. Saturday slate in the Big 12 on the 27th. Cincinnati at Kansas on Fox, 11 o'clock Central, kickoff. UCF at Kansas State, TNT, 11 o'clock a.m. Utah at West Virginia on ESPN, 2:30 p.m. Baylor at Woeful, Oklahoma State. Interim head coach, Mike Gundy is no longer there. Was relieved of his duties, but going to receive a nice $15 million buyout. Whew. Somebody fire me like that. But Baylor at the Cowboys, 2:30 p.m. on ESPN2. Arizona at Iowa State on ESPN at 6 o'clock. BYU at Colorado, also ESPN at 9:15. The results from week 4 in the Big 12. The one that got Mike Gundy fired on Friday, September 19th. Tulsa 19, Oklahoma State 12 in Stillwater. Tulsa had not won at Oklahoma State since 1951. And Tulsa won that game. They were the better team. Whew, enough said. Recapping the Saturday final scores. Texas Tech, impressive road win at Utah, 34-10. TCU, 35-24, home win over SMU. Big 12 over ACC. Way to go. UCF over the Belichicks, 34-9. Kansas 41-10 over West Virginia. Arizona State 27-24 road win in Waco over Baylor. BYU road win over East Carolina by 21. Final score 34-13. Colorado bounced back after they lost to Houston with a 37-20 win over Wyoming. Some notes, Big 12 notes. Reminder, the Big 12 Conference will publicly provide player availability reports for all conference games this season at big12sports.com/FB reporting, beginning 3 days prior to kickoff. The Big 12 has 8 wins versus Power 4 opponents, which ties the 2002 season as the most non-conference wins against major conference opponents in league history. The conference's 8 non-conference wins against Power 4 opponents in 2025 are the second most in FBS. Texas Tech is the first Big 12 team to win each of its first 4 games of a season by at least 24 points since Baylor set a conference record by starting a season with 6 straight such wins in 2015. TCU's Eric McAllister's 254 receiving yards versus SMU are the most in an FBS game this year and made him the 7th Big 12 player ever to have at least 250 receiving yards and 3 receiving touchdowns in one game. Big 12 QB Club note. Josh Hoover from TCU and Sawyer Robertson from Baylor rank 1st and 3rd in FBS in passing yards at 333.3 and 330 yards per game, respectively. Now, some American Conference football news and notes. Schedule for the week 5. Thursday, September 25th, Army at East Carolina, ESPN. 6:30 p.m. kickoff, Central Time. Then Saturday, on the 27th, South Alabama at North Texas. Games on ESPNU, 11 a.m. Rice at Navy, the 3-1 Rice Owls at Navy, CBS Sports Network, 2:30 p.m. Central Time. Tulane at Tulsa. Tulsa, the team that beat Oklahoma State in Stillwater, host the Green Wave on ESPNU at 3 o'clock Central. Memphis has won 8 straight games. Goes on the road at Florida Atlantic, ESPN2, showing that game 6 p.m. kickoff. Bye weeks for UAB, Charlotte, South Florida, Temple, and UTSA. The scores from week 4 in the American. Rice with an impressive road win at Charlotte. It's a road win in conference play. Hey, 28-17. Again, Tulsa 19-12 over Oklahoma State. North Texas winning in overtime at Army 45-38. Memphis should say 32, Arkansas 31 for Tigers' 8th straight win. South Florida 63-14 over South Carolina State. Bounce back win for the Bulls. Tennessee 56-24 over UAB. Ole Miss put it on Tulane 45-10. Georgia Tech 45-24 over Temple. East Carolina lost 34-13 at home to BYU. UTSA 17-16 over Colorado State. Final moments here. A few more news and notes from the American. Week 5, 11 of the American's 14 teams are at 500 or better through week 4. Memphis has won its last 8 games after, as I said, the Tigers' 32-31 win against Arkansas. Tigers have sole possession of the nation's longest active winning streak after Illinois got blasted by Indiana and Ohio State was idle this week. Memphis's comeback from an 18-point deficit was the largest comeback by an FBS team this season. Memphis has won its last 4 home games against SEC teams. Maybe they should join the SEC instead of Big 12. Or try to join the SEC instead of the Big 12. Those wins over Ole Miss in 2015 and 2019, Mississippi State in 2021, and Arkansas this year in 2025. Memphis extended its streak of scoring at least 20 points to 44 consecutive games, the longest active streak nationally. North Texas is 4-0 for the first time since 2018. If the Mean Green defeats South Alabama this week, UNT would earn its first 5-0 start since 1977. Wow. I was 5 years of age. North Texas running back Mackenzie McGill II has scored a touchdown in 7 consecutive games. Rice Owls stand at 3-1 through 4 games for the first time since 2001. Scott Abel is the first Rice head coach with a 3-1 start to his tenure since Bo Hogan in 1967. That's 5 years before I was born. So salute to Coach Abel and what he's done for the Rice Owls football program in his first year at the helm. But of course, that one loss for the Owls is to my beloved Houston Cougars. Tulsa registered its first win against Oklahoma State since 1998. And of course, as I said it before, scored its first win against the Cowboys in Stillwater since 1951. Ooh, my Gundy. How the mighty have fallen so quickly, too. Boy, goodness gracious. All right. Final thing. SWAC football. Closing it out. Scheduled for week 5. All 12 teams in action. Conference play begins for the SWAC this weekend, this Saturday. Alabama A&M at Bethune-Cookman, SWAC TV, 2 o'clock Central. Alabama State at Florida A&M, HBCU Go, 2 o'clock Central. Texas Southern at Mississippi Valley State on SWAC TV, 4 o'clock. Arkansas Pine Bluff at Alcorn State on HBCU Go, 6 p.m. Central. Grambling State at Prairie View. That's not really at Prairie View. It's again in Dallas, I believe. SWAC TV at 6 o'clock. And then rounding it out on ESPN Plus, Jackson State at Southern. Jackson State, best team in SWAC. That game, 6 o'clock, kickoff. Final scores from last week in week 4. Light slate. Bethune-Cookman 35-9 over Edward Waters. Alabama A&M 49-7 over Lane College. Grambling, I think Grambling came from behind to get this 31-28 win over East Texas A&M. And Prairie View A&M with a 27-24 win over Northwestern State. Okay, it is that time for me to put on my business hat. So it is that time for you to help me out once again. Become a member. Join the Houston Roundball Review YouTube membership section. Oops, let me get rid of the banner here. I'll get this really good one day. The All League tier, $2.99 per month. The All World tier, $4.99 per month. Early access to new videos, status updates, loyalty badges, and then for All World, in addition to those All League perks, members only YouTube shorts, members only videos, and members only live streams. One more time, thank the members who are the companies who are supporting the Houston Roundball Review with a listing in the Houston Roundball Review business directory. the African Center of Wellbeing, Bayou Beat, B Elite Basketball, Byron Riley CPA, the Pinto Leon Law Firm, Pruitt's in the Heights, Star Pizza, Tejas Brewery, United Sports and Entertainment, VIP Realty, and the Saxenian family. You want to be part of the business directory? Email me. Send the email. Advertise at THEHRR.com. Advertise at TheHRR.com. Advertise at TheHRR.com. Also, if you are a Coog, order you a once a Coog, always a Coog t-shirt. See the colors available right there. Red, black, and light blue. I'm going to say light blue. I'm not saying Houston blue. Light blue. Scan that QR code and order you a once a Coog, always a Coog shirt. There's a link. You can click on it. But in the product section, if you're watching on YouTube at the Houston Roundball Review YouTube channel, and order your shirt that way. Different sizes available as well. That will do it for today's edition of the Houston Roundball Review Takeover of the Lunch Break. I am KG Kris Gardner, owner of the Houston Roundball Review. Letting you know this, if you haven't seen it, posted on Instagram at Houston Roundball Review on Instagram, Threads, Houston Roundball Review, on Facebook, Houston Roundball Review, Twitter, Blue Sky. The Houston Roundball Review has been approved to attend next month's Big 12 Basketball Media Days, the 2025 Big 12 Basketball Tip-Off, men's and women's Basketball Media Days. Houston Roundball Review, yes, little old independent Houston Roundball Review, been approved to cover that event. Looking forward to making that trip. If you want to be a part of that trip, supporting that trip, again, you can email advertise at THEHRR.com. There are 8 different revenue streams, 8 different ways to support the Houston Roundball Review, from being a sponsor on the live stream shows, being a YouTube member, buying you some merch, being listed in the online business directory, clicking on Google ads, posted on the blogs and the website, HoustonRoundballReview.com, buying you some affiliate merch via Fanatics, different, or even direct contributions via Zelle at THEHRR.com, PayPal, etc. A lot of different ways to show your support for the Houston Roundball Review. 30 plus years doing this, 30 plus years as an independent. Wrapping it up. Thank you for your time. Hope you enjoyed the show. Spread the word about the Houston Roundball Review. Spread the word about the Houston Roundball Review Takeover of the Lunch Break. Streaming on Thursdays on YouTube at the Houston Roundball Review YouTube channel, but also on Roku via the BS3 Network. As I say, as I wrap it up, proud to say it, been doing this a long time. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and keep this in mind. Since 1994, the Houston Roundball Review, local name, global perspective. Everyone, take care. Peace.